a little dark. Good evening. How are you? I hope everyone is doing well. And I hope that we'll have people join us soon. If not, like I said, we're going to keep on moving because that's what I believe in. Just keep on moving. Tonight, we're going to talk about why men hate women. And I know there are some who will say all men don't hate women. And that is true. But the ones that don't have definitely learned the benefit of not hating women because this, in most societies and cultures, misogyny is taught from an early age and it's modeled. I'm going to say something that some may think is crude or crass or lewd, but the reason that I have to say it this way is for those who don't recognize um, if I say it another way. But if I say it the way that I'm about to say it, there is no way that you can misunderstand what it is that I mean. Unless, you are tried and true misogynist and you think that, that's just the only way to be. Men are taught to love pussy and hate women. I'm going to say it again for those who it didn't hit right the first time. Men are taught to love pussy but hate women. And then I'm going to say it a third time for those people who just, they just like, men are taught to love pussy but hate women. And not only are they taught to hate women, they're taught to hate femininity. They're taught to discount a big part of who they are because it surely takes a woman to make a man. And I will say that 2 more times. It surely takes a woman to make a man. Plain and simple. No man has come into this world without the help of a woman, sustaining him and nurturing him inside of her body for 9 months. But you can be sure by the time he's 3, he's been taught, you're acting like a girl if you cry. Oh, you being a bitch if you whine. If you show your feelings, you're being weak like a woman. And what easier way in this country and other countries has it become to be able to discredit a man, to make him hate himself, to make him feel bad about himself, is to compare him to a woman. Mm. Mm. You want to make a man mad? You want to make him not like you? You want to make him want to fight you? Call him a bitch or tell him he acting like a woman or that he's acting like a female. Man, you ain't seen no fury. And how could that be? How did we get here? There's a lot of theories about it. But my theory is that from the very time that a woman got pregnant and when they didn't understand how it happened, the science hadn't happened yet. They didn't understand, they didn't even put it together that it was laying down with the man that fertilized the egg. They had no idea. So then this time goes by and her belly swells and, when it's time to have the baby, then, this miracle happens. There was a time when women were revered for who they were and what they were capable of doing, being able to match with the creator and to help him, sustain this earth with humans. She was revered for that. And then as time went on, things shifted, and then everything became about the man, to even to the point in the Bible that it says that a woman came from a man. Now, we ain't going to get into that. We're not going to get into that. Because for me, personally, how is it that a man has only been able to one time in all the history of mankind make one woman? But then after that, all the rest of the people come from a woman. Think about that. But we teach our sons, and I should say people teach, because I didn't teach my son this. Men have been taught from little boys to discount who they are naturally: emotional, loving, sensitive, vulnerable human beings. Those attributes have been pushed aside, just reserved for women. Women, that's how women act. Men don't act that way. And what that does is it cultivates self-hate, because once they start feeling that way, you can see men who want to cry and they've been told all their lives that they're weak, or that they're, acting like a woman or a bitch or a female. And and then either they hold it back or they end up erupting and tearing up things, and they're ashamed afterwards. And this is how. I mean, it is just that simple. This is why men are misogynists. This is why we have the rape culture. Because we literally have fathers who have taken their sons to prostitutes who are deemed less than even women. They're just objects because they're willing to sell their body to please men who hate women. A lot of times they end up getting beat up and mistreated, sometimes even murdered, drug addicted, all of that, because even though this man is willing to pay hundreds of dollars, thousands even, to have sex with a vagina that happens to be attached to a woman, he still can get up and not have any respect for this woman, even though she's getting paid for it, her willingness to give you pleasure. They still have disrespect. Men who hate women do so because they have been taught to do so. And get this, there are just as many men who hate women as women who hate women, because we've been taught to hate our femininity, to hate our period, to hate our breast. Either they're too big or they're too small, or, we don't like the fact that we get emotional. You're supposed to be emotional. We all are. Whether you have control over your emotions, that's something totally different. But your emotions are there to protect you. They are there to soothe you. They are there to allow you to feel your humanity. And when a man only equates having emotions and feelings with being weak, he loses out on his humanity. And that's why he's able to do a lot of the things that they do. That seems doggish and cutthroat and, lack of feeling and awareness. They are taught that. Literally, most times by the time they're 3. And we wonder why, you see so many rapes on college campuses. because they get a chance to exercise what they've been taught all along. And these are women that are going to school to get an education. They're smart, A students. It doesn't matter. They're still just objects. Where 15 men will take one woman in a room and just dump on her. Just dump on her. Until women start to rear their men to have respect for the part of themselves that needs love, and which all of them needs the love and understanding. But there's a part that needs to be revealed, that needs to know that it's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to feel vulnerable. It's okay for you not to have all the answers. But most of all, it's okay to have enough respect to at least respect the woman who loves you or who shows you love. A lot of men who feel unworthy are abusive to the very women that love them because he knows who he is and he can't believe that she loves him. So her reward turns into a punishment because once she shows him sensitivity and love and understanding and, awareness of who he is as a man and as a person, he can't handle that. And a lot of men only have two emotions or two feelings or however you want to put it, when they're hungry and when they want to screw. Nothing in between except for anger. They're good at expressing that. They mad, they hungry, or they want to have sex. There are too many women in this country who are afraid of being the woman that they know that they are because they feel that they'll lose the man that they don't need. You don't need a man who can't respect you for who you are as a female, who you are as a woman. You don't need that. You need someone who understands that you get to be a full range person and that you need a full range person. You need a person that can allow themselves to open up, communicate, be sensitive to your needs, be aware. But the only way that that will happen is that it is done early and in the home. And yes, a lot of this does fall on the mother, especially if she is the caretaker, the primary caretaker. But when women have boy children, because they don't understand how boys relate and react, they try to expect for them to act like a girl child would. But that's when I say to you, you need to do some research because a woman cannot make a man. But what you can do is to help him develop by learning about what it is that he needs as a man, but also showing him what he needs as a human being, and to be able to cry and express your feelings and show your emotions. Those are human traits, whether you are a man or you are a woman. Those things need to be fully expressed for you to be that full human that you need to be able to express the love and care of those who you are in charge of loving and caring for. I hate to bring this up, but it's almost over. 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump. Now, I'll give 25% of them did it because of their ideology. They're Republicans. They're going to vote for a Republican whether they like them or not. But I say to you That when he said what he said about grabbing women, there should not have been one woman who voted for him, ideology or not. Until women demand respect, demand to be able to express themselves fully, this misogynistic society will not change. Because society supports men being misogynists. Society supports that. Like I said, there are men who believe a rite of passage is taking their teenage son to have sex with prostitutes. It's been happening since forever. It's a lot of men that will take their 5, 6, 7-year, whatever year old son, take him out in the back in the garage and beat him in the chest until he stopped crying, telling him the whole time, "This, I'm making you a man." There are men that will berate their son if he shows any kind of what he considers weakness, but he will always compare it to being a woman. What the hell? There is no man who thinks that way that should have a woman. But yet and still, there are women who they'll have a man who think that way because they think that way. Let a man kick your ass and you go in the bathroom and cry. Oh no. You don't get to have it all the way around. You're not going to beat me till I cry and then beat me because I cry. Listen, until women say, no, you're not going to treat, and I will tell you, I caught my husband trying to do that to my son. He was 4 or 5 years old, and he cried longer than he thought he should about something. And I was walking past the room, and he had him jacked up in his chest. I said, wait a minute, hold on, let's go talk. And I sat him down, and I told him, what kind of man do you want him to be? You need to really think about that. He needs to be able to express himself and have his feelings and know what he feels. You don't want him just acting out of rage because he has no way to discern, what he's feeling other than the rage, other than the anger. And you're reinforcing that because the reason why he was crying is because he was legitimately hurt. You mean to tell me that falling down some steps and feeling the pain and crying about it is not a legitimate reason to hurt? Oh, but my husband got his comeuppance. He was playing with basketball with his friends, and it was a dog running across the basketball court, and he didn't see the dog, and he tripped over the dog and stretched out his hamstring, had a big old knot as big as my fist in the back of his thigh, Couldn't move for days. He was crying crocodile tears. My son came into the room and patted him on the head. I think he was 6 years old then. Maybe, no, he had to be about five. And he said, Dad, I thought you said men not supposed to cry. Oh, but he changed. Well, son, sometimes things be so bad, that you have to cry. And then he looked at me and he recognized and realized what I was saying. There's a time and place for everything, especially for tears. Our Creator gave that to us as a cleansing mechanism, as a stopping point. Tears will stop you in your track if you let them come. But when you swallow them and you hold them back, it builds up resentment and anger because the inside of you knows that you need this expression. You need this ability to be able to let whatever it is going on with you go. And if you have to continue to stifle it, all it does is create more trauma and the inability to be able to express yourself in a way that you could get what you need from someone. I am not a strong woman. I'm a resilient woman. I'm a resourceful woman. But I'm not strong. Because I cry at the drop of the hat. If strong mean that I don't cry and I got to keep, going and dealing with what's causing me problems, I'm not that. I can start crying right now. That's just how close I am to my feelings and my emotions. Now, in a crisis, there's something different because I got control of that. I know that this is not, I can't do it right now, but it's going to get done. I'm not going to suppress my feel, and I've never been able to do that. I'm known as the crybaby in the family, and the sensitive one, and the weak one, and this. And I'm well adjusted because I allow myself to feel what I feel. The reason why men hate women is because they are taught to hate women. The reason why women hate women, one of the main reasons, is because women are taught to have more respect for a man than they do for themselves. That their feelings and emotions, their period, all of that is a negative for them. That is something for them to be ashamed of. That is something that they have no control over. No awareness and ability to be able to make decisions and take care of a household, but we do. And if we got to do it through tears, it gets done. I saw memes after the win in Atlanta. People, Stacey Abrams is not your God. Stacey Abrams is not your savior. She had this help, she had that help. But oh, if it was a man, we'd be holding him up as the next coming. This is who should be our leader. Anytime a man speak up, it's been from Al Sharpton to Jesse Jackson to Cory Booker to, on and on. They make a good speech, they the shit. But when the woman put in the groundwork and set up and delegate what needs to be done and get it done, oh no, no, and there's nothing special about her. Don't hold her up. She had help. But that's what makes women great. Because we know that we need help. And it don't always have to be from a man. Even during the civil rights movement, you would see the pictures of the men in the room strategizing, but it was the women and the children who were doing the work. You hear Martin Luther King's sermon, I Have a Dream, but he took that from a 15-year-old girl poem that she read in church. We got to rise up. This is our time. Next week, history will be made. We will have a Black Asian woman as a vice president. We got to stop not believing in ourselves and not thinking that we can't handle positions that can glorify us as we should be. And it's not about one being better than the other. It's about us coming together and realizing that's what that's about. People say that, well, there'll be wars. And, if a woman, all the wars we've had has been started by men. That's no argument. I say to you, 9 times out of 10, it'll be less war if a woman is in control. Because we are communicators. Okay? We like to de-escalate. Keep things calm, keep things smooth, because we got stuff we need to do. We don't need no uproar, no fighting and all of that. The reason why men hate women is because they are taught to. I'm saying to you, especially to the mothers, if you see your husband or your man jacking your son up in the name of making him a man and he 3 years old, stop it. Put a stop to it. Not only is it abuse, it's ridiculous. He's still a child. They should at least be able to have that release. because it's natural to them. Why is it the first thing that they do? No, everything is not something to cry about. But when it is, they need to know that it's okay. My son hears from women that he date all the time. You talk like a woman. And that don't mean that his conversation is like a woman. It's the fact that he has conversation. It's the fact that he knows how to hold a conversation. It's the fact that he knows how to listen. Okay? And women have a problem with that. And I just laugh. I'm so proud of my son. I'm saying, son, it's a compliment. He said, Mom, I know. Because by then they had to turn around and tell me how much they appreciate it. They never had no man listen to them before. They never had nobody hold no hour-long conversation that wasn't about what we gonna do this, that other in the bedroom. We can talk. I'm proud that I was able to understand. And what I didn't understand, I read books because I knew that I could not rear him to be a man. So I read books about men and manhood and how they develop and their expectations and the way that their mind works. Do yourself a favor. Don't just, go on what you think you know. Because a woman, you don't know what it takes to be a man, but you do know what it takes to be a human being. And that's being loving, sensitive, understanding, a good listener, aware of other people, empathy, sympathy, compassion. All of these things that I just mentioned are 9 times out of 10 attributed to women. But those are human conditions. That's a condition that a human being should be in, not just whether you're male or female. You have that capability of being all of that. It doesn't make you weak if you cry. It doesn't make you weak if you have feelings, other than you want to eat, you want to screw, are you mad? Come on. Why is it that if you want to insult a man, you tell him that he's acting like a woman? Why is it if you say to a man, man, that's a bitch move, he's 100% ready to kill you. He ready to fight. But by the same token, he's doing everything, so they claim, to attract a woman. The job they have, the clothes they wear, the kind of car they get. All of that is supposed to be trying to attract a woman. The very thing that once you get her, you gonna disrespect her. Long as she laying down with her legs open, it's cool. Long as she feeding you, it's cool. Long as her mouth is shut, it's cool. But let her be expressive of who she is as a woman, then you got a problem with it. But there are men men are waking up because it's not benefiting them, because society is changing and women are becoming more aware of what's needed to be able to get the things that they truly want out of this life. Those different things came about because women were expected to stay home. They were expected to, hey, Miss Etta, how you doing? They were expected to be in the home. They weren't expected to have a mind. Women couldn't read. Next to slaves, a woman had it hard. It's been only 100 years that we've been able to vote. It's ridiculous. But there's a change, and the change is here, and the time is now for us to understand and to appreciate the femininity that this country needs. We need feminine energy. We need that. And because we haven't had it, we could have it. We could have been had it if men weren't raised to hate it. Men have plenty of opportunity to project feminine energy. They have it within them. But society has said no. You're strong and silent. You know, you don't show any emotion. You don't show any feeling. You business like all the time. You cutthroat. You don't raise your babies. You don't hug and kiss your kids. Let the mother do it. But things are changing. I was fortunate enough to have a, a genderless relationship with my husband. He struggled in the beginning, because he really thought that just because I was a woman that I should like to clean. For real? No, it don't go. So he used to try to shame me and make me feel bad because, I wasn't, Susie Homemaker. And then one day he got it. He came to me and he said, I'm recognizing that I'm just more domestic than you are. It ain't that you don't clean or won't clean. It just is not where it is how it is for me. I'm the type that, I have a pile. And then at the end of the week, then I'll take care of that pile. But he was the type, he couldn't stand no piles. It's got to be done every day. Well, I ain't no everyday cleaning pile person. He used to say that I had organized chaos. That's what he called. Because if he asked me for something, I could go right to it. I knew exactly where it was. And that's when he really started to understand that this is just not junk, or this is just not some, just something that she just, just laying around. It happened too many times that he would ask me for something and I knew exactly where it is. I don't care how high the pile was. I could go right to it in the middle, to the bottom, wherever. And then he learned to respect my way of doing things more. And that's one of the reasons why I stayed with him. Because as we grew, he learned to accept me for the woman that I was and who I am. And I did the same for him. And it really comes down to that. We must accept that we as men and women, yes, we do have differences. But when it comes to the things that matter the most, like your tears, being able to flush them, your feelings, being able to express them, loving, caring, compassion, that's intertwined. That's who we are as human beings. The reason men, and I keep saying this because people need to know, the reason men hate women is because they're taught to do that. Even in school, you hear, I don't like girls. The moment that your son says that to you, then that's when you need to have a talk with him and explain to him what he's really saying. Because guess what we do? When they become teenagers and you don't see any idea that they like a girl or a boy, then now you're scared. Something's wrong with them. How come they don't, how come they ain't showing no interest? One way or the other. What is going on? Because the cues aren't mixed. If you telling your son that women are difficult and they hard to deal with, and if you showing him that in your relationship with your wife or your woman, why would he grow up to want to be in that experience? When my son was 6 and 7 years old, I would take him to plays with me and dance with him at home and do all the things that I knew that women like to do. And I would tell him, son, I don't want to do this. I don't want to dance. I said, son, girls like this. It's going to benefit you one day. And now today, look at him. And he's so grateful. Because I didn't teach him and I didn't allow him to hate femininity. I didn't allow that. If you want to cry, son, he 30 years old. He just told me the other day, I cried when I'm, that's right. You cry when you want to, when you feel like it. It takes nothing away from you as a man. Nothing. Because if it did, you wouldn't have the tear ducts. You wouldn't have the ability to do it. Think about that. If you come here with it, it's yours. It's meant to be. I was blowing by in my left eye. I wasn't meant to see. Doctors always trying to get me to let them operate on my eye. Listen, if God didn't want me to have it, what the hell you got to do with it? If I was meant to see out of this eye, I would see, and they'll tell me, well, you'll never be able to see out of it, but I got a new laser, and I just, excuse me, so I'm gonna be your test dummy, because you know better than God. You know I'm not gonna be able to see out of it, but that ego, that male ego, I should let you cut on me, any kind of surgery, any kind of anesthesia. What if I die letting you play with my eye that I ain't never been able to see out of? I got my doctor now. I've been going to him for almost 6 years, and it just took him the last year that I had to seriously go off for him and tell him what I just said to you guys, for him to say, okay. If you come here with it and it's functional, you need to be using it. And we all have the capability of being loving and understanding and aware of who we are as people. Men hating women is ingrained in this country. If it ain't for sex, if it ain't for cooking for you, if it ain't for meeting your needs, whatever else they may be, then she's unworthy. Even if you hurt her, you feel like she should just get over it. But that's the other thing that gets me too about these men that think women weak. She weak up until you do something to hurt her, and then she's supposed to be strong. See, that's why so much confusion and craziness in relationships. All up until you do something crazy, she weak, she this, that, and the other. But then when you hurt her and she show for sure her vulnerability and stuff, oh no, you need to just get over it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to talk about it. So all the way around, it's okay for a man to do whatever he want to do. But a woman has no leeway. She got to be weak. She got to be strong. She got to be fun. She got to be this. She got to be that. But all you got to do is do what you want to do. This is ingrained in our culture. Boys will be boys. A man got to do what a man got to do. Let a woman do what she got to do, whatever that may be. Then she trying to be a man. Listen, I could go on all night with this. I really could. And y'all know it. And you know what I'm saying is true. But what I'm saying to you is it's a new day. It's a new dawn. The Me Too movement, people haven't been talking about it, and that's a shame. Because right now, while I'm talking, is some man looking at a woman that he planning on violating just because she's a woman. I know y'all remember the case about the woman who was in the bar and she left the bar and a man followed her and raped her. She had on a business suit. She had just, came from work and went to happy hour, had on the business suit. But when he ripped her clothes off, she had on matching bra and panties and it was red. And when she went to trial, they brought that up. Well, she had on red underwear and matching bra and panties. What the hell? He didn't know she had on red underwear under that business suit. But it's that mentality. You're going to find a way to always make it the woman's fault, no matter what it is. We the reason why it's sin. It's the woman's fault. No matter what, it's our fault. But by the same token, we making it happen. We doing it. but we can't get any respect. If you're with a man who does not respect you as a woman, you need to leave him. If he's not willing to get therapy and try to get some understanding, you need to leave him, because you're always going to be nothing to him. And women know that I'm telling the truth. You feel it and you see it every day in how he talks to you and how he treats you. What we need to do is to teach our sons what it truly means to be a human being. I wrote a book for my son, and the name of it is You Can Be. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to share that with you. I wish I would have thought about it before now. But in that book, I say to him, you can be loving, you can be sensitive, and you can be happy. And I wrote that because those are the things that I saw that a lot of men were not. And it wasn't because they didn't want to be. It was because they were taught not to be. Literally, taught not to be loving and caring and sensitive and understanding. It was a big movement of, men for a while back that you would hear a woman wanting the man to tell her, I love you. And he would say, well, I married you, didn't I? Really? So that was the only time that you were going to say it during the vows. And you don't feel like you should meet my needs. But when a man feels like his needs ain't met, what he do? He get that work wife. He started talking to his friend. He might start talking to your friend, claim that he was talking to her to try to understand you, when all he had to do was talk to you to understand you. Listen, don't get me started. Y'all know it happened every day. Well, you wouldn't listen to me. And that very well may be true, because sometimes women don't listen to men. And that is a big downfall for us when we don't do that, because they don't tell us about their needs the same way that we would express our needs. We'll just come out and say, you don't do this and you don't do that and whatever. But the way they'll do it is they stop coming home, different stuff like that. And a lot of times they start that long before they find somebody else. But you don't want to rock the boat, or you don't feel like you could question it, so you don't say anything. And then by the time you do, he in a full-blown relationship with another woman. Totally. I'll be transparent. I learned that the hard way. My husband had a girlfriend. And he said to me, she's nice to me. And I'm like, that's because she don't know you. But that was the wrong answer. I felt justified in being the way that I was, but I wasn't. Because if I wanted to truly have a relationship with him and wanted to be with him, I should have expressed my feelings in a way that would reach him, instead of being mean and distant and giving the silent treatment. And when he called me, answer what? It was another way to do that. And when he said that to me, it hit me. He's right. He wasn't justified in the way that he dealt with it. I'm not saying that, but I owned up to my responsibility as far as that, him being able or willing or needing to find someone to be nice to him. Because if I wasn't going to leave him, then being upset and distant and cold and stuff was not the answer if I didn't want to see his back. So I changed. I changed my ways. And I changed my ways for him. It wasn't necessary. For me, it wasn't for him. because that's not the kind of wife I wanted to be, and that's not the kind of woman that I wanted to be. We have to look at ourselves too. Even though I'm saying, talking about why men hate women, sometimes men hate us because we hate ourselves. And that's a whole nother story right there. Sometimes they hate us because we hate ourselves. And the things that we do, we go against our very selves, the things to be able to get what we want, because that's what I was doing. I was upset because he was walking away. But he was walking away because I was always upset. Holding on to stuff, 2 and 3 weeks and months, and I was a serious grudge holder. Sometimes it would be months. Look, don't say nothing to me. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. Da 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 da. Like I said, sometimes it's not necessarily about how they were raised or how they perceive women. Sometimes when they get into that relationship with the woman that they claim to love, she is not ready to be loved because she don't love herself. Like, that's a whole nother story. We talking about why men. That's one of the aspects, but the major aspect is because they are taught to do that from a young age, and then when they get to a certain age, the parent has not taught them anything in relation to relationships. They just say you should be married by now, you should have kids by now. Why don't you have a girlfriend? They just go right into that, but they have not done the work that's necessary to be able to make them available and open to those things. Like me and my son, we talk all the time, and I just told him, you don't necessarily have to get married because you're in love. That in love stuff is bullshit. And you don't have to necessarily love a person. You see the arranged marriages, and you see these people been married for 30 and 40 years because you can grow in love. But there's other things. Does that person respect you? Are they thoughtful when it comes to you? Or do they want to add to your happiness? Do they want to see a smile on your face? Are they willing to build with you, to share their wealth with you? Do they value who you are as a person? Folks leave people they love every day because they can't get no respect, no appreciation, no loyalty, no understanding. Can't get them to listen. They spending up all the money. Them the things they get divorced by. I was in a meeting with 15 women that were older than me, at least by 10 years. Every last one of them either had been divorced or had been in long-term relationships, and they broke up with the man for whatever reason. But then every last one of them, every one of them, at the age they were then, said, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just too young. We best friends now. I didn't have the right kind of respect for him. I didn't understand, this, and a lot of times, this is another thing about men. A lot of times they're more cordial than we are. They don't want to fight. The average man, if he's not an abuser, they don't want to fight. They want peace. And they usually might put it in, the wrong way, shut up, this, that, and that, whatever. But they basically, they want peace. My husband used to tell me all the time, you talk to strangers better than you talk to me. Man, it took me a while to get it, to understand where he was coming from. Because he wasn't the best husband. He wasn't the best husband. But as far as a person to me, and being a friend to me, and being aware of me, he was great at that. But the husband thing, he would have made an excellent baby daddy. Man, that's what that should have been. Baby daddy. I couldn't have beat it. But trying to be a husband, he didn't have no models for that. And I wanted him to be a husband. So when he wasn't being a husband, nothing else that he did made no difference. I was mad. And I spent a lot of our relationship mad, distant, pissed off, being nasty, angry. And it took me to like 13 years in, and that's a long time. That's a long time. But he never wanted to get a divorce. He never wanted to leave me. And why? Because and he told me, because you make things happen. You're smart. You're productive. You good to me. You good to our kids. He didn't have no problem with saying none of that. But that attitude. He could have hated me. He could have. But he chose to have an affair, you know. But it wasn't out of hate. It was because he couldn't stand the hate I had for him. Once again, men hate women because they are taught to hate women. And not just from a standpoint, this last few minutes, I'm going to put this in here. And this is really important. I've been honing on the fact that, you know, from a male perspective, how men teach men to hate women, but women teach men to hate women too, especially single mothers, you know, with going off on their sons or trying to, you know, control their natures. You know, little boys have energy and they want to play. You're going to keep them locked up in the house instead of going out and taking them out to the park or finding him something else to do, or bringing a man from the outside who you can trust into his life to help him, you know, or getting some help. It's feeling like you got to do everything. You know, and I don't understand why he have to do. You hear that a lot from a lot of. I don't understand why then get you a book, go to a doctor, get a therapist, but don't take your anger and your lack of understanding out on this child. Because a lot of times too, men hate women because their mama make them hate women. If he got to run into a woman like his mama, he'd rather not have one. He'd rather just hit it and quit it. That's another aspect. But the major aspect, that outside of his relationship with his mother, when he leaves outside of his house, the world supports him hating women all over the world. Misogyny is all over the world. You'll be hard pressed to find a culture that has respect for the feminine. Men over in certain countries, they hate women so much they don't want to see nothing but our eyes. Okay? And that's his projection onto her. And that's how they have to live, because that's, you know, where they live. But I submit to you, as I close this thing down, talk to your sons about feelings. Talk to them about respect. Talk to them about their sexuality, their sensuality. You know, have these conversations with them, as well as you should your daughters. Tell your daughters that they're beautiful, that they deserve the utmost respect, not just to get a man and a man with money. We lead them down the wrong path. Get you first. Know who you are, so a man can't come into your life and snatch the little bit of you that's left. When you are grounded and aware of who you are and what you need, nobody can shake that. But that's not how we rear our children. All we do is want to feed them because we have to, clothe them because we have to, and send them to school because we're glad to. We don't have to deal with them because ain't nothing like you think it's going to be. And when we find that out, then we ready to run or to have somebody else to take care of a situation for us. I done talked for an hour. I'm going to shut this thing down. Thank you, Miss Yetta, for joining me. You're the only one live. I'm sure my daughter's probably on. I love you, dear. And I'm sure that it would pick up, when people get a chance to come towards it and, see what I'm talking about. I'm just going to be me, the real deal, plain and simple reality life. You got to face it. You got to face reality and you got to face life. Plain and simple. And I hope that the things that I've shared with you about my personal life will help you understand that I'm coming from a place of knowledge and experience. This is not just something that I'm talking off the top of my head. I have taken these principles and used them in my life, and they've paid off. Because it's all about love and understanding and awareness, compassion and empathy, listening, being vulnerable. These are the things that will get you what you want out of life. Being hard and not able to express yourself. Don't want to communicate. Don't want to hear something somebody got to say. Don't want nobody to tell you nothing. Those things will keep you separated. And they will keep you constantly searching for something that you don't deserve because you don't know how to give. I love you too. Yes, thank you so much. And share this if you don't mind. Share it with people. It should be more people on here. But anyway, what is what is. And y'all have a good night. Have a great week. Next week, I think the topic is still going to be on this same line, but it's going to be about gender and gender roles. Peace.